Hello everyone in YouTube land. My name is Michael and I'm going to give you the barest introduction to a really fascinating percussion instrument today called a Bodhran. It fools a lot of people because it's spelled B-O-D-H-R-A-N. You'll probably have seen that in the title of this YouTube video, but it's pronounced Bodhran. And it's an old instrument that arguably has its origins in perhaps farm implements in the old country of Ireland. The story that I've learned and put the most credibility on is that winnowing of grain had to be done on the farms. And so a good way to do that was to make a round frame and cover that surface with something so you could put the grain in, winnow it, let the wind blow the chaff off of the grain that you're trying to clean. So that's the story that I find most believable, but it also goes back, and it was an instrument used by the mummers, which had really fascinating parades in the small villages and towns. So my goal today is to just bring you into what would be one of our workshops at the Celtic Festival. So now I'm going to make it clear that this is sponsored by the Northern Arizona Celtic Heritage Society, of which I'm a board member and have been for a while. And we need to thank our sponsors that help us buy equipment to do such productions and so forth, and certainly help us as a nonprofit throughout the year. And those are the Arizona Commission on the Arts, the Flagstaff Arts Council, the Flagstaff Community Foundation, City of Flagstaff, and Coconino County. So those are the folks that we owe a lot of this to, and they respect us for what we bring to the community. So this is a Bodhran. And mine is a little bit different than many you will see because more typically they aren't as deep as this one. You'll hear some different sounds today, but since you're probably new to the Bodhran, it's not going to be distinguishable. But to try and make this as close to our workshop, could you hand me a pizza box? I should have had one ready. Thank you. This is a very expensive percussion product that we share at our Celtic Festival at our workshops because it's very effective. It's certainly affordable for us, and it gets you through the first steps of learning to play a Bodhran. I have some background music going right now, so I'll just turn that up just a little bit and get a little noise going here on the pizza box. Okay, that was the most early way of playing a drum that anybody has used with no other implement other than fingers. So I'm hoping that if you're watching this video and you have some intrigue at learning the Bodhran, that you might pick up a box at home maybe in the future our Celtic Society will be able to arrange a way to deliver these expensive instruments out to those that are interested. But the very basics of percussion are to keep a beat and solidify the music that the musicians you're playing with are putting out also. So one of the things to work on early on in playing a drum is to work on getting your beat steady. To that end, I have a metronome, electronic metronome today, just to demonstrate how this applies to the Bodhran. So I'm going to start out a beat at 80 beats a minute. Is that audible? And yes, I'm going to continue playing with my fingers. One thing that evolves is you will turn into a down and an up stroke. Down, up, 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 down. And that's the way you practice. And a lot of times it gets boring if you're practicing. I'm not the best practicer, but it sure does wonders for your playing once you're back with musicians. And by the way, one of the things that I do to keep current is we have a very active session group. Session is spelled differently in Gaelic, but we use the S version. And it's a group of friends that have been playing together one night a week for years and years. And COVID's affected that, so we're now doing a Zoom-based one until everything returns to normal. But if you want to find a session, they are all over the world. Search on the internet and just go and watch. If you're a musician, go and watch and listen. It's amazing. In our group, we have fiddlers, we have bouzouki players, we have other drummers, we have flute players, we have whistle players, and it really varies depending on who joins in with us. So it's a great way to play. So our advanced next step in the workshops at our Celtic Festival is to start with the tipper. This is just a dowel, nothing very sophisticated, and if you're putting your box together yourself at home, this is an easy thing to add. So instead of your fingers, you're going to be striking your drum face with the tipper. And I should have given you a little prompt, I just automatically did it, of how to hold the bodhran. So this is assuming you're right-handed, and left-handed, I'm sure if you're left-handed, you're more than used to swapping things around. But the right-handed is you hold the drum against your torso and you use the tipper on the surface at a 45-degree angle to the surface. One of the things that I find a lot of people in my workshops doing is they don't understand this 45 and they end up going skating across the top at like a 90-degree angle. And if you catch yourself doing that, let's try not to do it. So I'm going to pause this metronome for a second and give you a little example. So it doesn't have a lot of variety in the tone. I'll play my real one in just a moment, and you'll see what range of tone you can get out of one simple instrument. It's one thing that amazes me about the Bodhran is it's kind of like having a full drum kit in one drum. And I'll start to demonstrate some of that for you. So let's look at this real Bodhran, which I flashed at you briefly. This one is made by a company called Metlof Drums, M-E-T-L-E-O-F. It's a young man, and this drum is about 7 years old, I think, now. And he's gone on and made just amazing instruments beyond this. And I can't tell you how many accomplished Bodhran players, when I can get a chance to play with them, like when we have bands come join our session group, they're all like excited because it's a Metlof drum. So I made a good choice, but there's a lot of great drum makers out there. This one is deep, and I chose that because I was thinking of recording in the future. And usually when you're playing live music or recording, there's going to be either a microphone clipped to it or a microphone on a stand that's got its head in here. So this volume, the depth, helps to make that work more effectively. And this is, mine happens to have a kangaroo hide. The majority of drums are probably still goat skin, and that's what the traditional ones in Ireland were. But you'll notice that there is an adjusting ring or a tuning ring that's inside this. So to keep the skin healthy and live, I detune it or loosen everything when I'm through playing for a while, put it away in its case so it's protected. But then you go through a little process, and it's not quite as exacting as tuning a guitar or a string instrument, but you do need to get it up to the tone and the rigidity that you want. So let's do a simple strike at that 80 beats a minute on this drum face. Obviously, you can hear a deep, much deeper tone than we were getting out of the pizza box. Funny how that works. So that's just the very basics. One of the things that's very, very cool about and how you turn it into a drum kit, as I mentioned a moment ago, is your hand. Your left hand, if you're right-handed like I am, is also articulating the backside of the drum head, and you're effectively changing the shape or the size, is probably a better descriptor, of your drum head. So you can get high tones, so while you're moving your hand, listening to the tune that you're playing along with, this can actually become quite a musical percussion instrument, which is one of the things that fascinates me about it. So, holding the tipper, I didn't really talk about, but you'll want to know it. And this, what I was just doing, I have sort of a hybrid style. There's two main schools of tipper use. One is Clare style, which is the old-fashioned one, which tends to be pretty much centered on your stick. And it's called double end because you're playing both ends of your stick. There is now a new one called top end. And when you see some of the players that are super competent at top end, the speed that they can get their tipper moving against the drum head, but it's only swinging one end. It's quite amazing. So I won't bore you with those details, but I am going to put on a couple pieces of music, play some along here. I wish there was a way that you could ask me questions, but if you so choose in the comments for the YouTube, you're welcome to do that. And I will do my best to try and respond and answer any questions that you have. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of resources available. And there's a lot of wonderful music to listen to. So Danu is one of my favorite bands that's out there, but there's an amazing number of bands. I'm going to play one that I've used for classes for quite a while here. This one starts with a slow reel. And I'm going to play along. Nope, that's... Yep. Irish music is played in sets most often. You heard that the music didn't end, it just changed into another tune. It's one of the challenges of playing in session groups, and I'm going to use the opportunity to just switch to a different tipper for a different sound. And this is a quicker tune. So there's a little introduction to what I think is one of the coolest Celtic instruments, but I'm a little prejudiced. So we're hoping that you will enjoy the YouTube that you've chosen to look at today. I love teaching it. Every time I teach, I learn something more about how to do it. It's been great fun to do it at our Arizona Highland Celtic Festival each year. We're hoping that we're going to be able to go back on with live festivals soon. But if you're watching this and you have questions and you're used to using comments on YouTube, don't hesitate to add some questions in the comments, okay? And thank you for listening today, and thank you to all of our sponsors that help us do this. And we got an amazing crew of volunteers that help make all of this happen. So thank you all.